Tomorrow brings another episode of Saturday Night's Main Event, but before WWE took the show to MSG, it still had this week's Smackdown to get through. Last week saw Gunther dish out a brutal attack on Nick Aldis, and it's likely to have repercussions for the ring general. We also saw the return of Baron Corbin, so there's a lot of falling out on this week's episode of Smackdown. But we start things off with a quick recap. As Gunther came out to start the show, he immediately addressed attacking Aldis last week and blamed being mistreated since coming to SmackDown. He also complained about having to team with Sami Zayn tomorrow night before Adam Pearce came out and told him he heard enough. He informed them that if he and Zayn win tomorrow, they'll be added to the world title bout at SummerSlam. Cody Rhodes came out. B wasn't looking to talk. He rushed through the ring, attacked Gunther. He challenged the ring general to a match for tonight, which Pearce was more than happy to look at. A solid segment, but he didn't overstay its welcome. Had some action, hyped a big match weekend, and added a new match to tonight's show. Simple and worked. As we then moved on to Balor versus Talatonga, Balor defeated Tama last week, so it's hoping to go 2 for 2 and end this feud. The big man wasted no time using his advantage and size. He had control from the moment the bell rang through the commercial break, but Finn started to make a comeback. But when the show returned, it was a typical David v. Goliath kind of bout that doesn't always lead to an exciting performance. Or if anything, it makes results predictable. Balor got the win with the coup de grace, which will help continue building momentum. It just wasn't that exciting. The match wasn't bad, but yeah, it wasn't much to it. 5 out of 10. As we then moved on to Tiffany Stratton versus JC Jane in a SummerSlam ladder match qualifier. And Lainey Reid and Fallon were hoping to help Jane get an early advantage by attacking Stratton for the bell, but Brie and Paige evened the odds. When the show returned from a break, the other women had been cleared from the arena and the match was in progress. Jane had control, but not for long. Tiffy ended up scoring a win to advance her title bout at SummerSlam. The match was too short to be memorable, and it had a couple of noticeable mistakes really, so I'll give it a 5 out of 10. As we then got Jade Cargill and Nia Jax fighting for one of those spots, they only got a couple of minutes before Charlotte Flair showed up and caused a DQ attacking Cargill. She tried to get revenge for Bliss after the attack she suffered last week, but B-Fab and Meechin saved her from having her arm stomped in a chair. Jax was furious that Flair cost her the win, so she smashed her in a corner before leaving, which left her open to an attack from Cargill. The match lasted about a minute before the DQ. It didn't make the feud between these two more interesting, and it didn't provide a satisfying conclusion either, so I'm going to give it a 2 out of 10. Harsh, but you know. As we then got the War Raiders versus Fraxium. Of course, the War Raiders current AAA champions, so it's nice to see them back on the main shows instead of being relegated to that. Neither of these teams have been featured much in recent months, so yeah, just good for them to get a chance. They were given enough time so that both teams were able to have moments. Fraxium used their signature high-flying offense to produce fun moments, and the War Raiders used their size and power to dominate the action. This is a big improvement over everything we've seen to this point. Both teams brought a lot of energy to the ring, so even though the outcome was pretty obvious ahead of time, it's still enjoyable. Eric and Ivar picked up a win, giving them momentum on their path back to the world titles held by Priest and Truth, so I'll give it a 7 out of 10. And then in our main event, Cody didn't even let Gunther get halfway to the ring before attacking him from behind. They fought in the aisle and at ringside for a couple of minutes before they got into the ring to start the match. We returned to see the ring general controlling the pace, but the American Nightmare started to fight back and built a little momentum. CM Punk arrived to cheer on his tag team partner for the weekend, Sami Zayn, and he showed up and all hell broke loose. These two men know each other well, so they had no trouble making the match look good. Unfortunately, the match didn't have a conclusive ending thanks to Zayn and Punk getting involved. I'll give it a 6 out of 10. And overall, this week's SmackDown really only had one match making worth attention. Everything else can be viewed in highlights. The match between Cargill and Jax was a complete throwaway, and most of the other bouts was not really exciting. The only bout that stopped it from being completely skippable was that Fraxium War Raiders match. It's great to see the War Raiders back on TV, and hopefully they get a chance to prove themselves. SNME hasn't really been built up to be a must-see show, but most of the matches set for tomorrow night definitely have the potential to be good on paper, so I'll give it 4 out of 10. For this video. Thanks very much for watching. Remember to like, share, subscribe, follow us on our socials, link in the description below for daily wrestling news, meme and content. Subscribe to our other channels on screen right now, that'd be greatly appreciated. Thanks very much for watching. Peace out.